Hello everyone, I'm Miss Rachel Shan Reyes, and for today I'll be presenting to you one of the factors to be considered in strategic planning, which is media choice. So let's get started. So, as distance educators, we have a wide range of media to choose and use from, such as print, radio, television, teleconferencing, video conferencing, and now computers or laptops, which I think is a very useful tool as providing education from a distance because now most of the time all of the activities are now found online. So we all know as technological development, which and a good example is computers, it also allows us to increase the media that we choose and increase the way in which media can be combined, or sometimes what we call hypermedia. So, for instance, in my synchronous classes, during my science classes from grades 3 to 6, aside from using Zoom as my way of uh, doing the lesson or having the lesson, we also have what we call Nearpod. So Nearpod is an interactive slide wherein you can provide activities to the students in a teacher-paced setup wherein the teacher uh, has the control of the slides. But then in this way, all of the students can answer, can put their inputs, have small checkpoints in a form of a quizzes in between, or even have a games. So instead of just using PowerPoint or Google Slide, this is a better way of um, presenting the lesson to them or having a discussion with them because they have their inputs in it. So this is one way of uh, showing technological development. The way we use media before is different now because we use different media in order for it to become more relevant and useful to the student. But then we always know that this technological development have what we call advantages and disadvantages. So as planners for education or for distance education, we should always look on or check on the factors that you should be considering in choosing media. So these are the questions that you have to ask when planning the media to be used in the classroom or in the course as well. So let's have the first one. Actually, we have four for this one. I'll be discussing the four, and I'll be also giving my own experiences with this one as a teacher in a private school. So the first one is when choosing the media, you always use media which your potential market can access. So what does it mean? So you have to check what is available within the society and what is currently make use of by that group of people or society. For instance, in our institution, when we started providing distance education in the start of the pandemic, yeah, it's one of the plan or when we plan about it or our leaders planned about it or our institution planned about it, we always we always check what is available and what is the or easiest way for the students to use it. For instance, we just don't use as teachers, we don't use different platforms in providing what they call this synchronous classes. We evaluated Google Meet and Zoom and thought of it what's the best for the students and what is the easiest way for them to learn. Is it Google Meet? Is it Zoom? And then at the same time, what LMS to be used? Is it Edmodo? Is it Google Classroom? Is it Canvas? Yeah, and also at the same time, um, how can we provide exams that to them? What is the best app to use in providing these exams? Yeah. So checking on what is available in context naman na, for example, it's not always the same with your school. So for example, schools that do not have internet connection, school that doesn't can or cannot provide laptops to their students. How can we do that? So for example, in public schools, which is this is from my friend's point of view who's working in the public. They have what they call this modules or modulars or a modular type of learning wherein they provide modules in a form of print. Yan. And then they also have what we call depth and TV or radio, wherein they provide lessons in there so that the students can still have the teacher, a learner teacher interaction, not just with the learner content which is in print. And so you have to check what is available and what is currently makes use of. So aside from that, I observed that most of the Filipinos now are using TikTok. Yeah, and I see, because I have also have my own TikTok account. I can see tutorials, video lessons in 5 minutes or 3 minutes. So this can also give an easy way or an easy access to give education, yan, formally or informally. So that is for using media in which your potential market can access. Now, for example, it's like a checklist. For example, oh, this is something that's available. Now, is it affordable? So this is the next question. Is it affordable and accessible? So the institutions or the distance teaching institutions should check if they can afford to pay to have the access of that kind of media. So for instance, in our institution, we have what we call paid apps, wherein we evaluate media or different media that can be used in the classroom. And if it passed the evaluation, we will purchase it. For example, for our video conferencing, we have Zoom. Then for exams, we have book widgets for grades 1 to 3 and exam.net for grades 4 to 6. So the type of media that we use is also checking what suits to the learner. So later on, we'll be discussing that. Aside from that, we also created our own beacon, or when we talk about beacon, it's a learning management system. This is where the students enroll, yan, during at the start of the class. So they parents can enroll through online, and aside from that, this is where we post the grades. Yan. So if before we print the grades, now we just post them online, wherein the parents or the what do you call this, the enrolled students have their own accounts and they can easily access it. So that is one way, checking if you can afford to pay for it, for a necessary production or distribution system. So in addition, just like what I mentioned a while ago, we are planning to like purchase Nearpod, because we tried it for a year. If it is effective for synchronous classes or even asynchronous classes, because it has a student based um, feature. So that is one way of checking if the media is good or not for the institution as well. So it's very hard to purchase something that is not worth it, or at the same time it is very worth it, but you don't have the affordable, or you cannot really pay for it. That is why it's very important to check what is affordable and accessible as well. Okay, so next, decide what works best pedagogically. So this is the third one. What's worked best? So this is where we go back to the objective. So what if it is affordable, accessible, it's currently used of, but it's not aligned with the objectives that you have created. So we always know that the method of presentation needs to match the kind of knowledge that we have. So for instance, yan, it's very important to always check on the learner's objectives. Is it aligned with the curriculum? Is it aligned with the mission vision of the school? And is it aligned to the way we do things? So it's very important to check on the objectives. And at the same time, this is where as Holmberg mentioned about guided didactic conversation, when it is aligned, when you use media and it is aligned to the objectives, it allows students to think out loud. Yeah, even the most quiet student in the classroom participates. So, for instance, in my class, when we use Nearpod, even the quietest participates, especially those who are shy to give their inputs orally. They just use Nearpod, and I think it's a more what do you call this? It's more interactive. Yeah, so even without the teacher, they can still access that one. So that is one what do you call this? That is one way of using the correct media. Yeah, next. And lastly, of course, the most important of all, ask what medium will suit the learners. You always have to check and know what kind of learners do you have. Even if you have the best media or medium that you have chosen, it's affordable, it's accessible, it's what all the people are using, but if doesn't suit it, it doesn't suit your learners. Yeah, it is irrelevant to them. So always choose the medium that will suit them, that is relevant to them, that is meaningful to them, that allows them to what do you call this? To wonder, to explore. So this is where your learner objectives comes from. So again, we have a variety of media, but this four can help the planners, especially in distance education, knowing that it can be costly, yan, and costly and what they call this, costly, and sometimes if it's costly, it does not work with the students. So always check on this four. Does it suit the learners? Does it work pedagogically? Is it accessible? Is it affordable? So it will help you what type of media to use. So I think that's it. So if you have any questions regarding my report, feel free to reply in my forum, and I'll be happily have a discussion with you and to answer your questions. So thank you for listening. So this is Miss Rachel Shan El Reyes, and let me end with a quote from George Coros. Technology will never replace great teachers, but in the hands of great teachers, it's transformational. That's it, and thank you. Have a good day, everyone.